And I think we need to consider that. Maybe we need to look at another class and allow that to happen here in our city, rather than just doing it in unusual circumstances. And I think it's a good way to look at it. I think kind of got it right there.
May along that line, and I think that's a good point, but you also, in this situation, we have a grant. The county has a grant, and that grant is going to benefit both the county and the city. So should we do that, I think we need to really look, as you always like to do, the finances of it and the parameters, and ensure that it's not just a, that maybe it's an area that we realize that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, the area I'm talking about are low-income people. Okay, that's the area I'm addressing. Okay.
Well, I suggested that, Dick, we talked about this the other day, right?
Yes, we sure
And
did.
you thought it was a good idea to what you just said a while ago, did you not?
Well, I think in the context of our conversation, the issue was raised as to whether or not the city, under its current ordinance, had authority to do this. If that remains an issue, the cure for it would be to amend the ordinance so that it would be provided for in unusual circumstances at least. But I do think that in spite of that, the general authority given cities and counties to engage in these type of projects is broad enough to allow this project, and that it would be considered an authorized project on behalf of the city and the county.
Are there any other questions of Bill? I know he's got a meeting he needs to go to about 30 minutes.
I'm fine. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor.
I just don't understand why we passed an ordinance, Mr. Jesse, if we don't go by it.
Well, I guess if we had an ordinance that said in the event of a grant and the county providing 100% of the infrastructure, I would think probably differently about it and think that had to apply. We just don't seem to have. We have inside and outside, and it doesn't set forth any other conditions other than the property owners within the city or outside the city.
I think the distinction here, though, is that if Mr. Britton were a private developer, it probably would not be as applicable. But since we're doing a government-to-government contract, I think there's more latitude to be able to set those fees and to talk about these contingencies.
Debatable at its best, isn't it?
All right.
With that, are there any other comments or questions from council?
This addition that we're talking about adding, will it be city property when this is done?
The county builds it to the specifications that we've already reviewed and approved. Once they construct it, it's adequately inspected, they will dedicate it to the city, it will become city property.
All right, how many feet are we talking about of this?
How many? I know you looked at it, and Donnie, do you remember?
I don't remember.
The
Is it a
dollar.
subdivision?
It's a small subdivision, basically.
Okay, so the lot size gonna be 100 feet at least.
3,000 or 4,000 feet, I think.
How much?
I think it's 3,000 or 4,000 feet.
The value, Larry, of the assets being dedicated to us is on the order of $45,000 to $50,000.
Roughly 45,000.
So I know the dollar amount, I don't know the fee, $45,000.
That's the city property owned. That doesn't include the entire system.
Okay.
Because part of the system is probably on.
What would it cost the city to put that many feet of sewer in?
We would estimate more than that.
A lot more than $50,000?
Yes.
I don't see how you can go wrong. If you're gonna get it for nothing, how can you lose?
Well, let me ask you make one more statement there, Dick. I don't know if everybody knows this, but do you remember the paragraph you took out of the agreement?
I do.
Can you explain that? So,
If you would remind me of what that paragraph said, I think I could.
Indemnification.
It's what?
Indemnification.
Oh.
I don't know who's the worst, you or me.
I'm having a time hearing. In the Tennessee Supreme Court has held that a governmental entity under the Governmental Tort Liability Act, which limits caps damages for example, and provide certain immunities to cities that third-party private people or organizations have, that it's an unlawful use of city funds to agree to indemnify a third party in the event some damage is incurred. Being a gas company, privately owned gas company, putting in a gas line, and maybe the city is out doing the ditch work, and there's an explosion and people hurt severely, and the city and the third-party gas company get sued. If the city had agreed to indemnify the gas company for any negligence of the city employee who contributed toward that blow-up, then that could be far in excess of the city's limits. So it would be an unconstitutional use of funds in that event.
So is that the same part though, as we talked about, like the county will just take the sewer as is, if something was wrong, then we had to correct it, right?
Well, it would just depend on the,
But you took it
on the
out,
agreement the city and county reached.
Right, but you took it out there.
I did delete the indemnification language, yes.
Any other questions by council at this point? Hearing none, this time, Chair will entertain a motion for award the Whitesburg Sewer Agreement between Hamilton County, and Government City of Morristown.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Do we have a second? We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Five yeas, 1 nay, motion carries. Next item is agreement contract between the City of Morristown and Whitesburg Utility District.